Caleb Williams had been on a 3-week roll where he looked pretty good. No panicking, feet were steady. They had kind of refined looks for him. And then he goes to Washington off a bye, and it's a mess. Their first 6 or 7 drives, nothing worked. So we don't think of Washington as having elite defensive personnel. What did the Commanders and Dan Quinn do to completely flummox the Bears' offense?
It really wasn't magical, Colin. I mean, the pass rush was really strong. Williams was under a lot of duress. At this point in his career, too, even plays where there were people around him, but it wasn't by NFL standards what you'd call big-time pressure. He's not necessarily ready to handle that. You know, we've talked about this. There's a big difference, and I think it's important to make this distinction. There's a big difference between being able to get out of the pocket and make plays, which he's very, very good at. We saw him do that later in the game on a pass, I believe, to Keenan Allen. But there's a big difference between that and moving efficiently and effectively within the pocket. And he's not quite ready for the second part of that, moving efficiently and effectively within the pocket to kind of find a quieter space to throw the football. So he was under a lot of duress in this game, and it was just the pass rush that was really a big factor. The left tackle, Jones, went out after 18 snaps. They put in a rookie at left tackle who really had a hard time. So, you know, I think overall with Williams, the main thing for him is he continues his development, and he's going to be a very good player. I don't think there's any question about that, is how quickly and how well he can see things clearly and decisively and deliver the football. And that's very often the case with young quarterbacks.
Speaking of one that's struggling.
Okay, so I think what Greg Cosell said here is really important, and it's going to go a little bit understated, and it's what I've been trying to preach, and this is why I really wanted to highlight this clip, is because this season is about Caleb just improving, getting better, and growing. The season is not about him proving to everyone how great he is and what his potential is, and proving to people who said that he's going to be a bust wrong, and for him to lead this team to a Super Bowl and an MVP and all of that. This season is about improving. Because what Greg Cosell also said, Colin said, what did the Commanders do to shut down this Bears offense? And he said nothing magical, right? It wasn't this big magical thing. It was just that Caleb was uncomfortable and that they didn't do a good enough job getting him, getting easy throws to guys around him. And when they did, he couldn't get it done. That's why they kind of kept showing that highlight again and again of like when there was time in the pocket and was time for him to deliver a strike, he kind of didn't. And then even missing the snap and then the bad handoff and all of that. And so what really ultimately showed more than anything was that Caleb Williams was uncomfortable. He was uncomfortable from the jump. Now he got more comfortable as the game went on, but he was clearly uncomfortable. Now, and I even wrote down in my notes, he was uncomfortable from the jump. And then I also wrote, though, but he still looks confident. He still kept his composure. And that's what I liked. Because I can guarantee you there's been a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL, not even just rookies, who get off to that start and then things really completely start to unfold and unravel. And I don't think things ever unraveled. You weren't watching this, and even though it was 41% completion percentage and 36 yards or whatever the number was in the first 3 quarters, you were never watching this game and saying, oh my God, Caleb Williams looks lost, confused, he looks awful, he looks like he should never even be a starter. He still presented himself as an NFL quarterback. He still played the part, right? He still was the guy out there. It wasn't working right. You watched that and you felt the Chicago Bears team is not doing good right now. You didn't say, oh my God, Caleb is failing, right? There's a big difference, right? You're watching this game and you're not saying, this team would be great if we didn't have Caleb Williams. You were just saying, this offense doesn't look good, very good right now. There seems to be some issues right now, right? There was definitely a few plays where you were like, oh, Caleb missed it. But again, we've watched enough football. We see quarterbacks miss plays all the time, miss throws all the time. Now, as Caleb improves and gets better and better, those are obviously those moments are going to get smaller and smaller. But I also like what Greg Cosell is talking about, because this also seems to be just understated so significantly, is that Caleb needs to improve moving around and throwing in the pocket, right? Making decisive throws, seeing and reading making, the appropriate throw, the appropriate read at the right time, right? That is what Caleb needs to work on. Not so much getting out of the pocket and making plays out of the pocket. We constantly assume that what a quarterback does out of the pocket is what makes them great, and that's not necessarily the case. It can be part of what makes someone great, but also what makes someone great, a quarterback great, is being able to be a big time playmaker from within the pocket. And that is something that he does need to work on. And quite frankly, it's what other people pointed out, and even in preseason, even when he made some really nice plays, it was like, well, he kind of moved out of the pocket and he didn't need to. And it's kind of why Bill Belichick was kind of like, let's relax here. And I know a lot of Chicago Bears fans were not happy about that. And I understand why they wouldn't be. But this year was always about development. And somehow we just skipped that part, right? We just skipped that. The first couple of weeks were tough. People used it to just bail on Caleb, to do victory laps of, aha, I told you, especially because Justin Fields was winning some games and everybody was like, oh, they made a mistake. And then Caleb starts looking really nice, wins 2-3 games, plays really great. And everyone's like, okay, there you go. This is it. This is him. And then now there's no more room for errors, no more room for rookie mistakes. And it's just not fair, quite frankly. So I really love this clip. Obviously, it's a short one from Greg Cosell. He's not really breaking down the film anymore because there's not a whole lot to say about it. There's not a lot of film to break down with regards to this. It's like I just kept saying again and again and again throughout this week for this game, is that Shane Waldron needs to do a better job of setting Caleb up for easy throws. But when those throws are there, Caleb has to hit them. And he did not hit them enough in this game. It was a combination between Shane Waldron not carrying his weight and Caleb not carrying his weight. So quite frankly, it was a lack of execution for everyone involved, right? It wasn't Caleb failing his team, and it wasn't his team failing Caleb. It was a combination. It was a collection. Everyone involved was not ready for this moment, for this game, right? The first 6-7 drives were punts or whatever. That, is pretty inexcusable, even if you do have a rookie quarterback, even if you do have an O-line go down. You would expect, considering the level of talent that you have, in terms of offensive weapons and at quarterback, you would be able to do a little bit more. And there's proof of that because we saw what they did in the fourth quarter, right? We saw what they were able to do in the fourth quarter and what they were able to do with Caleb, finishing the game with, 6 for 8, 90 some yards. Right? Like we saw what was capable. Where was that 2 quarters ago? Where was that throughout the game? Why did it take so long to get that offense right? That's kind of the question that you have to really kind of figure out. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Chicago Bears offense and Caleb and, some of the things that he needs to work on to really kind of elevate his game to the next level? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.